Salutations, Dufoes. This is your fabulous leader, the Queen of Shade, coming at you with another special presentation. I am moving full speed ahead with interviewing all of you guys, getting to know all of you guys. It is so beautiful to me to have given so much of my life to social media in the last 5.5 years and to have amassed such a loyal, loving following. I follow you, you follow me, I uplift you, you uplift me. And with that being said, I have someone else to bring to you that you need to know. We're going to have a very good conversation today about something that is very near and dear to my heart. So I'll be able to open up and get into it. But without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Jared Denzel Keller.
Oh my goodness, that is
Yes.
quite the introduction.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm not playing no
everybody.
games, Jared. I'm not playing no games. No. So how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad this is the first time you and I have ever connected like we've been talking for a while now,
Yep.
but we've never talked virtually face to face. We've never
Right.
had a conversation like this. So this is nice.
You know what the crazy thing is? I had someone that I interviewed yesterday, Ty Mitch. He's a creative and a musician and recording artist. He said the same thing to me. And it was because, I kind of was in this, I speak back on social media. I comment back to every comment, but I was like, I don't want to do interviews. I don't want to do interviews, and then the end of this year came and it was like, you know what? Interviews are not really, they shouldn't really be bad. They should really be a way for people to get to know you and you to get to know them. Once I saw the appeal of me getting the opportunity to know you, I jumped at it. I was like, you know what? This is a great thing because it's not, like I said to you before we started, see, I'm not your traditional interviewer. It's a star interviewing another star. You are a maverick in your community. You came here today with an agenda. We're going to talk about some very pressing, very serious issues. And I applaud you for that. And I thank you for even allowing me to have you here, bring you here so we can have that discussion.
I'm excited too. And listen, you are a big deal on social media, so I am honored. I am so happy to be here, to be graced by your presence. I'm excited.
Listen, I only had to give up 5.5 years of my life like a slave. I worked so hard. Hard. Jared, and get this. I love that you said that. I want people to know this. I worked 5.5 years for social media and didn't make a dime, Jared.
Oh God, no.
Didn't make a dime. Yeah, I was asking other influencers how they were monetizing their platforms. People want you to do well, but not better than them. So
that is true.
So I had to do a lot of research, and I had to do a lot of research and a lot of reading, and then I just switched gears. So this is me doing something about it now. So tell us, Jared, where are you from?
So I'm from Louisiana, but I'm not from the cute part. I'm not from New Orleans. I'm from a very small town, Alexandria, Louisiana. It's central Louisiana. I'm maybe 3 hours north of New Orleans.
Okay. And you lived there most of your childhood?
Yeah. So I was in Louisiana until I was 22.
Okay.
The plan, because I hated it growing up, because you know how it is being a poor Black gay boy from the South. It's oh God, get me the fuck out of here. Yeah. And the plan was always to go away for college, but that didn't work out. So as soon as college was over, I think I went back to Alexandria for 6 months, and then I went to New York City. No job, no money, no friends, no family, no nothing. I was like, I can't do this. Bye.
Wow. So how did you make it in New York? How did you, when you got there? That's interesting to me. So you got there, and of course you had a shiny degree. What was your degree in?
Communications.
Yeah. So please, in New York City, yes, that makes sense.
It does, but listen, the first, I would say almost 2 years was very rough. I worked at Target. Okay. I actually.
Oh, I'm so mad you said it was rough. I worked at Target. Everybody that works at Target, we sorry.
No. I mean, moving to a city
I'm just joking. Tell your story.
Moving to a city like New York, not knowing anybody, and trying to make it in a city that's that expensive.
Yeah.
Working at Target, it's really tough. Yeah. The older I got, more time passed on, I'm it's the economy, it's ridiculous. It's really tough to make it. Yeah. So I worked at Target. I worked at Burger King. I actually got fired from Burger King, but that's because I had a bad attitude because I didn't want to be there. But yeah, like it took me a little minute to like find my footing and find what worked. But eventually, like I got my foot in the door and I started working for a PR firm.
See, but you know what I love? I asked you to expound on that because what I love is the people I follow and the people that follow me, we don't turn our tails and run.
Exactly. Yes.
We're fighters. So yeah. I'm so glad that happened and you got there. So how long have you been in New York?
So I'm actually in DC now. I was in New York for 8 years. I just moved here though. I've been here for 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was in New York City for 8 years. I was in Harlem before I left.
Wow. So now in DC, are you still doing still working for PR firms and doing things like that? Are you still in communications?
Yeah, I am. So when I was in New York City, I was in fashion. And then like this kind of goes to my story that I'll probably tell in a second, but I lost my job at the end of 2020. And like around that time, my whole fucking life just blew up. Like it went very crazy. But I think when that happened, I kind of had to ask myself, like, what do you want to do with your life now? Because I would always tell people this. I was in these scenarios where no one ever gave a fuck about what I wanted. It was always what I had to do. No one cared. I didn't care. I was like, I got to get out the hood. I got to do this. I have to do all these things. But when it got to a point where everything kind of went silent and stopped, I was like, what do you want to do? And truthfully, I had no fucking clue. Like I didn't know. I knew I wanted to help people, but like what that looked like, I didn't know. So I'll say for like maybe the last 6 to 8 months, I've been doing like PR for nonprofits and charities, which does give me much more of a sense of purpose.
You know what's so crazy? I find, Garrett, that this pandemic, let me correct myself, this pandemic that we're still in, okay?
Right.
This pandemic, it was a very rough time, still is a very rough time, but it birthed so much greatness.
It did.
Because everybody I'm getting goosebumps. Everybody had to stop and say, what the hell do I want to do?
Exactly. Yeah. You had no choice. You couldn't go anywhere. You had to sit alone with your thoughts and like ask yourself, what do I want to do in my life? Am I happy with what I'm doing with it right now? Like, what would I change? Like, it really made you focus on what you were doing with yourself.
Wow. So I'm a little curious because at 22, I got the opportunity to go to Paris as a model and I was there for 6 months. Yeah, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. My mental health, here we go. My mental health, I'm bipolar type 1. I have PTSD from my childhood and I have acute anxiety disorder. So I have 3 diagnoses on me that I lived with and learned. You know, I've had 14 years of therapy, but that still doesn't make me perfect. It doesn't make me cured. So I went to Paris and it was just the hardest thing I'd ever done. And I ended up going into the hospital there. I was working like a madman. My French friends were like, see, that's the problem with you Americans. You work and all you do is work. You don't know how to let your hair down. You don't know how to have fun. You don't know how to fall in love. Like they were giving it to me bad over there, but I ended up in the hospital for 2 months and I left. And then now I've been working. And now I have invitations to go back because one day I'd like to live there. I found it to be gorgeous and amazing. But anyway, here's the question. What did you do in fashion?
Oh God. So I was always on the PR side of it. It would range from like helping different accounts pick like the celebrity faces, lending clothes to magazines to be featured in their upcoming issues, planning different events for launches and things. Yeah. I worked on Lane Bryant, so I got to meet like Ashley Graham, who is this plus size model, who was very nice. Yes. I worked on Sean John. I worked on Fossil, the watch brand, and we would do all these like super crazy events. It's funny because being from Louisiana, these are things you dream of. Yep. So when you're actually doing it, you're like, is this my life? Like, is this happening right now?
How is this?
Right, because you dream of it, but it's like for it to actually be happening, it's weird to like let that sink in. I used to do a lot of the shows too, like during Fashion Week at Spring Studios. It was really fun. It's a hectic industry though. Yes. Like mine was similar to you. I think, touching on mental health, that was when my anxiety developed because I was actually having this conversation with a friend the other day. I was like, I was from Alexandria, Louisiana. I moved to New York City. There was no transition. I didn't know what it was going to be like to go into a corporate space where I'm the only Black person. I'm working with nothing but white. Like, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
So there was always this pressure to want to try to be perfect because I was like, oh shit, like I'm the only nigga here. As soon as I mess up, they're gonna kick my ass out. And that gave me so much anxiety. Like I would get so tense, like waking up in the morning because I wanted to be perfect so badly. But I think when you don't really have a transition in between that, you don't know any better. I'm sure it was the same for you. Like you were just trying to do the best you could and make it. Because I think that's what we're all trying to do is make it. That can take a toll on you though.
Listen, I didn't go to Paris to be a mediocre model.
Right, exactly. I didn't go to New York to
right.
Broke. I could have stayed in Louisiana and did that.
But you know, even though it happened that way, I'm sure you're glad with where your life is now.
Oh yes.
See, it's the same with me. I'm glad where my life has led me, but we're not moving on. So tell me about the anxiety. How, because I know what it's like to wake up, like to literally go to sleep in a panic attack and wake up in a panic attack. Like, I know what that's like. So tell us, okay, hold on. If you guys have not realized why we are here today to talk, Jared and I are about to talk about mental health because all you people need to check your mental health. We're checking out, but all you crazy people out here, so let me stop saying crazy. All you people out here need to check your mental health. So today, this conversation, if you didn't pick it up yet, is about mental health, which is why we're staying right there. So anxiety, when did it start?
I would say my anxiety truthfully started in high school, but at that time I didn't know what it was. Right. I used to have terrible panic attacks. Like I couldn't breathe and had to start breathing to a bag. But I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was dying. Like I'm serious. The first time I had it, I remember trying to call my friend.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I think I'm dying right now. Like I can't fucking breathe.
Yeah.
It was crazy to me. But it started probably close toward into high school, going into college, because that was my first time like kind of stepping out there on my own. And I think it's something to be said, like when you grow up in the hood and things are kind of all over the place, you never really know what's going to happen. Like one day you get evicted, one day you come home, the lights is off, one day you come home, there's no food. And so a lot of my life was extremely unpredictable. And I think as I got older, this need to want to try to control everything is what fueled my anxiety. Yes, but obviously you also know we can't control what happens, but we will certainly try. And that's where the anxiety comes into play. And then going from college into moving to New York City, like I just told you, it got worse. It got really bad. Like I did have to start taking, I started taking medication for it because it was almost crippling. It was really, really bad. Like, and I know for me, my anxiety manifests in my body. So my muscles will get tight and my back will start hurting. And like all in this area, it feels like this sometimes. But yeah, I think that you live in this space where you still think like the 10-year-old kid you were when you were growing up. Even when you're not in those scenarios at all anymore, you still operate in that space. And that's where the anxiety comes from. And I think now at 31, a huge part of what I'm trying to do is break all of those like shackles on my mind and be like, you are not still the 10-year-old boy in Alexandria, Louisiana. You're present day Jared Keller that does X, Y, and Z. So, take that off your mind. And I think that's like one of the first big steps towards moving towards being anxiety free,
something that I learned in therapy, because I said, I let it out of the bag, 14 years of therapy, I learned how to silence my inner child.
Yes.
That was something that needed to happen because, the inner child in me and what you just said is so important that people don't understand is because you were having traumas at 10 years old. And what people don't understand, as was I, 8, 10, so what people don't understand is when situations would trigger your anxiety, they would also teleport you back to being 10 years old. Yes, and people don't understand that. And then here you are in an adult body, but you are very much, you go into survival mode. You go into, it's either, for kids, it's flight. You usually, because they don't fight. So it's usually flight. You start, and my thing is, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to leave anywhere, but you just start having avoidant behavior. You know, like I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with that. I don't do like what's so crazy. And I'm just going to get real candid here, because I want this to know, because she watches my videos. So I want her to know that she has not affected me. Okay. So I've had somebody for the last 14 years in Hollywood doing very mean and malicious things to me behind the scenes, even though I have mental illness, trying to make me sick, trying to stop me. And I want this person to know, because they literally have people that watch all of that I do and tamper and all of this stuff. I want this person to know that never once have I gone into the hospital over anything that she has ever done to me. I have never had a panic attack over anything that she's ever done to me. She has tried, but she has never been successful. The reason why I have panic attacks, the reason why I have anxiety is because I'm a bad bitch and I work all the time. And my anxiety comes with being able to deliver my babies the right messages. So it keeps me in a space of constant tension, because I'm channeling and I'm talking to my ancestors and I'm talking to the divine, and these messages that are coming through me, 22,000 to be exact, you know, I have to make sure that they're right. I have to make sure that I'm right so that I can deliver them. But not once have I had a panic attack or had to go in the hospital behind this bitch that I'm talking about, that I can't say her name yet, but it's coming. My lawyer and I, we working on it. Economic damage suit, we working on it. But I just needed them to know that when you have panic attacks, you know, and anxiety, you know, lots of different things can cause them. And with me, my work causes them. It's not what somebody's doing to me. So I feel what you're saying. You're up here in spaces where you're the only person of color, and you're like, here's what I heard. I have to set the example to these white people that have never seen a Black person ever. So I have to be the only nigga that these people see, so that they don't go and hate niggas. So while, you know, because of me. And that's a lot of tension and anxiety to have on your shoulders.
It is.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough feeling like you have to represent an entire race of people. Because honestly, when I first got into fashion, it was honestly all a bunch of rich white kids. Like, that's just what it is. There's not a lot of Black people. So I was like, I know y'all don't know any Black people. You certainly haven't been around Black people on a day-to-day basis. So it does add a lot of anxiety, because you're trying to watch how you talk and walk and say, like, all these different things. Because, like, I don't want to be a poor representation of Black people, but I also want to be myself. And it's tough, and it does add a lot of anxiety. And I don't think that's something that's talked about very often.
Yeah. So get this. I asked you to come on because I've been watching your page on Instagram quite frequently lately, because you've been saying a lot of good stuff. And I mean, you've always done that, like even from the time I met you, but you're way more vocal now than you ever were. And I just wanted to, before we get into it, I want to say thank you. Like, I got glasses on because I didn't know if I was going to cry, because it is so important, the conversations that you are having on your platform, and they need to be televised. They need to be picked up by other social media influencers. This message needs to get out there. And your message is that we all need to manage our mental health, that our mental health is so important. So having said that, please, we already hear, you know, you had anxiety, you had to take medicine for it. What caused you to be like, okay, this is the last straw. I'm not going to suffer in silence anymore? Because a lot of people, including myself, we suffer in silence with our mental conditions, with anxiety, with stress, and we don't open our mouths. My grandmother gets so mad at me because I'll be up here working, and not say anything. And then the whole day will go by. And she's like, you know, and then I'm in the bed. And then the thing is, what people are not seeing is I'm so stressed because I want the messages out there. I get so excited about the messages that I will work like this, and then the next day have to lay in the bed all day.
Right. It takes a lot out of you.
So please tell us why the conversation of mental health now? Like, what caused you? What was the spark or the catalyst that caused you to want to start talking about mental health the way you do? Because you don't do it a little bit. You are going in, and I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. I'm not gonna lie, it's scary sometimes, because I've shared a lot of stuff that I literally, like, I will press post and I will put my phone away because I'm like, oh my God, like, what are people gonna say? What are they gonna think? But it started, so I touched on losing my job at the end of 2020. And I also, just because of the pandemic, was having some substance abuse issues. And all the culmination of all of those things, when I started to get clean, I went to a really bad depression. I was already dealing with anxiety, and I've already had like symptoms of depression, but I don't think I wanted to fully admit to myself that that's what it was. So I didn't take any medication for it. I wouldn't even say it out loud. I used to always reference it as like, oh, I get sad sometimes, but everybody gets sad, so I'm fine. But I went into a really bad depression after that. And to be honest, I'm still working to like, be whole today. Like it's a day-to-day journey. But I moved out of New York City in end of July. I lived with my roommate for 3 years. He moved, I don't want to say where he moved, but he moved, and then I moved to DC. And about 3 weeks after us moving out, I get a phone call at dinner one night that he had committed suicide. And it was so shocking because if you knew him, had so many friends, had the biggest personality, knew all these people, you would have never in a million years would have thought that he would do something like this. And I remember after it happening, feeling so fucking guilty because I knew I had issues with depression, clearly similar issues he was dealing with, but I never talked about it to him. Right. I wasn't very open or vocal about it. And I remember feeling guilty because I was like, well, if I had said something to him or at least started a conversation, he would have felt more comfortable opening up and we could have talked about it together. And he could have, I don't know, done something, got on medication. I don't know what the solution is to that, but I felt strongly that if I had been more vocal, he would maybe still be here right now. I don't know. But after that happened, I remember getting angry. I was like, this is why people commit suicide, because we don't feel comfortable talking about it. So we suffer in silence and we act like everything is fine all the time when it's clearly not. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start saying it. And honestly, I was like, I'm just going to start putting my business out there. I'm just going to start telling everybody about all the struggles that I've had with substance abuse and depression and anxiety, like all of that. Because I read a study that said that 1 in 5 US adults is struggling with their mental health, which means that someone in your friend group, one of your friends, one of your homegirl, like somebody that is close to you is struggling with this, but they're just not talking about it. Right. So I said, I feel like I needed to be more vocal and I wanted to start talking about it. And since then, I have had so many people engaging with me. I've had people who I've known for years, people who I know socially, people who I don't know at all come to me and be like, I'm dealing with some of the same stuff. Like, I'm so glad you're talking about it. It makes me feel more comfortable to be open with it. And that's really what I want to do, because I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I'm not any of that. I just want people to feel comfortable in having the conversation and saying, I'm kind of fucked up right now. No, I'm not okay right now. Like, shit's crazy. I feel like I'm losing my mind right now. And it's okay, because a lot of people are feeling like that. I get angry because I feel like we can't all act like we're okay all the time, because you're going to break. At some point, you're going to break. Mm-hmm. You got to let it out before it gets to that point.
Mm-hmm. I want you to know, first of all, it's not your fault that your friend took his life. I need you to understand that. I need you to understand that. And that's from a life coach standpoint. Your friend also, and it's sad to say, but I had to have the tough love myself. But your friend, if he was your friend and he really, really loved you and could talk to you about anything, he could have initiated a conversation as well and said, listen, I don't want to, I'm feeling this way. I don't want to, go on. And, it's a very difficult situation. And the reason why I'm saying it that way is because when I was medically withdrawn from school, I was sick and suicidal for 5 months and nobody knew. Mm-hmm. My school flipped out when they found out, because they were like, look at how he's living. I had thrown out but I'm bipolar, so I had thrown out all my possessions and everything. I'm living in my dorm room on a cot, on the mattress with no covers, no nothing. Got the windows open in the middle of the wintertime, crying all the time. And, it just was a mess. And they held me and put me on suicide watch. And then my family had to drive the 7 hours in state. I was still in state. I was from Philadelphia to Pennsylvania, to Pittsburgh kind of area. But we all are responsible to be able to say, look, I'm not okay. And my thing is, that's what I learned, because that was the first step I learned to healing. I had to acknowledge it and take responsibility for it myself, even though, even in my situation and possibly in his situation, it probably was hereditary. Probably came from a family member, his mom or his dad, you know, and both my parents had mental illness. I just want you to know that to honor his memory, you are doing an amazing job and an amazing thing. You may not have been able to save him, but look at all of the lives that you're going to touch and inevitably save, you know, opening up about this experience and about what you have gone through. So I just needed to put that in place so that you don't feel like it's your fault, because it's not your fault.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
So fast forward. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I hate making people cry.
That's okay.
I hate making people cry. I don't like that. I'm not Oprah. We cry. Everybody cries on Oprah. So no, but with that being said, what you are doing is a beautiful thing, because like so many people cannot and do not even know how to formulate the words, I'm in trouble, I need help.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible.
Now, I just want to ask, your friend, was he Black?
He was.
See, this is another thing. The Black culture, the Black community, we don't see therapists.
I know.
We don't talk about it.
I know.
We pray about it. If God can't fix it, then it can't be fixed. And then God is sitting here looking at us like, but I sent you 3 therapists, a psychologist, a psychiatrist. Like, he going, what are you talking about? I sent you all these people. I made doctors. I made medicine. I made therapists, you know? So.
And that's, for me, that's the most infuriating part, because my father was also a minister. And I would call him and I would get the same things you're saying around, well, you know, just pray on it, just go to church. And, you know, I love the Lord too, but I also do believe that you can balance the spiritual with the natural. Like, it's fine for you to pray and to have hope and faith that it's all going to get better. It's also fine for you to go to a therapist. It's also fine for you to take medication. Jesus is not going to reach out the sky and just fix all your problems. That's not how it works, you know? Like, it's good to have that faith, but you have to balance that out with some natural things too. And I think one of the biggest things is going to a fucking therapist. Like, it drives me crazy. I have people in my family that they're like, no, I don't need it, I'm fine. I'm like, you think you are fine? Oh my God, okay. Like, sometimes I have to walk away from it, because I'm like, if you fine, I don't know what I am. Okay, sure.
Right.
But it's so difficult in the Black community to get people to, I said one of the biggest things is in the Black community, if you talk about your mental health, you're fucking nuts. Like, that's how they label you. You're fucking crazy. You need to be locked up in a padded cell. And someone needs to have your hands cuffed behind your back, because no one knows what you're gonna do. And that's bullshit. That's bullshit. And I want to like work to debunk that myth. Because you like, what happens is a lot of Black people will say those things to other Black people, and because they don't talk about it. And what ends up happening is they do something drastic. And then at that time, everyone's like, well, I wish I had said this. I wish I'd done that. Well, you didn't do that when they were here. Like, when they were here, you made them feel like they were crazy. All of that, I wish I'd done this, and that doesn't mean anything once they're dead, because now they're gone. Like, we need to do a better job of fostering a community now that people feel open enough to talk about that. You don't have to tell me all of your deepest, darkest, whatever, but you can at least tell me, like, you know, I'm struggling right now. I think my biggest thing is that even if people still don't feel comfortable with talking to it with their friends or their family, I hope that at the very least, me talking about it will make them say, okay, maybe going to see a therapist isn't as bad or as crazy as I thought it was. Or maybe getting on some type of medication isn't as crazy as I thought it was. Maybe I should try. If he has gone through all of that and he is comfortable taking medication, then maybe I can at least be more open to the idea of it. That's the goal.
That is the goal, and that is the objective, and you're going to achieve it. I'm so thankful to have you here today. I was the same way. My family was the same way when they found out that I was bipolar, because bipolar is a fancy way of saying a manic depressive. So the world and the doctors are basically saying this person is sad. Never mind the happy-go-lucky queen that you know. I live as a sad person, basically. I live as a person that is very sad. I'm gonna just say sad. And, you know, trying to navigate the world with something really wrong. You see, because, you know, that's the thing. Black folk don't look, you know, and I remember when I started, you know, and they taught me, they said, listen, for Black people, it's going to be touch and go. You know, people are not going to support you, this, that, and the other. But for most people that have, and they're talking about other races that have manic depression, they go for 10 years before they actually do something about it. And I did. I ran for 10 years and it ruined my recording contract career. It ruined my modeling career. It ruined my college career. So here I am being traumatized. Those are three major things that I was trying to do that, because I did not have myself together, they were ripped out of my hands, you know? And it was just like, and after that, because see, the last thing, it was my college career, then it was my fashion career, then it was my music career. After my music career, I was like, oh no. Because that was like, I came to these things kind of by force. It was like, okay, well, you can't go to college. You haven't done enough therapy. You're not ready. Then they tell you the stress of college can really, really be a problem on me. So they were like, listen, I say all of that to say this, and I work something like 80, 90 hours a week now. Yeah, it's crazy. But to turn around and not be able to speak about it. I remember, and to this day, my family thinks I'm crazy. My family thinks I'm crazy. They say all kinds of nasty, evil things about me because my grandmother had to step in and help me because they just wanted to lock me in a sanitarium. And she said, ain't nothing wrong with him. He got these issues that ain't even his, issues that his parents passed him. And now my star, because she's called me that all my life. My star is in trouble, and y'all think that I'm going to let y'all, out of y'all jealousy or whatever is wrong, because even in your family, some people don't want to see you do well.
Yes.
They don't want to see you do well. So you think that I'm just going to let y'all force me to lock him away? No. And she brought me here 14 years ago. And she was the first one. I don't even remember my first therapy session because I was so out of it. My grandmother took me to my first therapy session. Oh, and literally, yes. And I'm saying that because there are so many people watching that don't have anybody to do that for.
Right. I know.
So yes, go ahead. Because I was going to say what this conversation is for. This is your somebody. I'm telling you now, you got to step forward, call, talk to people. You can do this.
Yeah. And I think for most, that's the shitty part, is like, we don't have our grandmother to step in. Like, there's a lot of people whose attitude towards their mental health issues are similar to your family, and that is all the support that they get, and that's it. And it's terrible.
Yeah.
Because what I feel like a lot of people don't know is, like, this is not some made up thing. Like, to an extent, some of these people are suffering just to make it through like, they're trying their best, but it feels like they're suffering.
Yeah.
And if you, as my family that is supposed to love me and be there for me, is not only you're not helping me, but you're like antagonizing me, that is something that can take some people out.
Yep.
Because they just don't feel like life is worth living anymore. And I do want to serve as some type of a voice to be like, listen, I know you might not know me, past Instagram, but like, I'm here for you. I'm supporting you. I know how tough it is, and I want to see you win. I want to see you do, but I want to see you win too, Queen. Like, I want us to do well in spite of some of the struggles that we're facing, because the struggles don't define us.
Right.
How we get up after and we keep pushing through, like, that's what defines us.
Yeah.
But it is also okay to get some help while you're pushing through.
Yeah. And see, that's what people don't understand. Like, I don't understand why, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but my people, Black people, they don't want anything to come to you or me easy. They expect you to toil and fight all of your life. And when something comes easy to you, they want you to reject it. They want you to put it aside. Oh no, you got to work harder for this. You got to work harder for that. You got to do this. You got to do that. And even in college, I realized I was on a career path that I didn't even want.
Oh, listen, you preach to the choir. I understand that.
Because my family and my praying grandmother and this and that said, this is the path that you should be on. Now mind you, I love animals. I have a cat running around here anyway, but I love animals. Since I was 10 years old, and look at this, because there was no one to babysit me and my siblings and myself, we were bused, because we lived in the suburbs at this time. We were bused to the library. So while I would wait the 4 to 5 hours for my aunt to be relieved because she was in the Navy, to come home to us and get us, I did a little reading. I found myself in the animal section, and I can tell you anything about dog breeds, cat breeds, fish breeds, bird breeds. Like, that was my thing. But I didn't want to be a veterinarian. But my grandmother told me when I was 5, you should be a veterinarian because you like animals. So I followed biology all the way from then, all the way up to college. And to tell you the truth, I should have majored in English because I'm very good with my words and good with research papers and things like that. All my teachers said that you should do English. Even my advisor in college, you should have been an English major. So that and philosophy were really what I should have done, and even communications to get me on the track for this career. But here I am trying to do these hard ass organic chemistry lessons, and I'm doing a class and I'm getting a B, and my advisor is telling me, no, you got to take the class over next semester because everybody going to vet school, they got A's. So you can't have a B. You got to stay here over the summer and retake this course until you get an A. Look at that stress. And then it was my advisor that said to me, oh, and by the way, I'm gonna give you your test by yourself in my office because you have test anxiety. I had it in high school and didn't know.
Oh, okay.
He caught it. Yeah. I exploded and had a panic attack at the SATs. I signed my name to the SATs and answered like 2 questions. I got a 790. I was excused from the test. Yes, I was excused from the test. Yeah. Literally because I got into college, literally because of my grades. I applied to 4 colleges under a biology major and got accepted to all 4 and didn't have to take any remedial classes.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So my thing is, if you're going to credit the divine or God, credit him for helping you fix a mistake that you made. Credit him for that. Don't credit him and say, oh, he's just going to come out of the sky and do this. No, I fucked up. I didn't know why I was fucking up. I didn't know I had test anxiety, but I fucked up as the human being with the power in my hands. And then he helped me get out of a fuck up. Sometimes I say that to God. Sometimes I get so mad about what I'm doing or what I want to do. And I'll say to the divine, I'm like, you let this happen to me. Why are you letting this happen to me? And because I'm a shaman. So he speaks very quickly and very, very curt with me. And I love it. He said to me, no, I didn't cause this. I didn't let this happen. I'm the person helping you deal with it.
Amen. Yes.
He said, I didn't cause it. This is your life. I'm the one helping you deal with it. And if you got anybody else that's ready to do what I'm doing to help you deal with it, then by all means, go find them. And then I look around, I ain't got nobody. I'm like, okay. Like the divine keeps me in check like that, because we can never. Okay, I just got to say this. Sometimes I think the problem with people not getting therapy, especially in the Black community, is we think too highly of ourselves. We think too highly of ourselves. Now, everybody's out here, be the best, be the greatest, be this, be that, even me. Be confident, be confident, be confident. Yes, but confidence turns to stupidity when you recognize that there's something wrong with you and you ignore it.
Yes.
You can't ignore it.
That happens a lot in the Black community. I say oftentimes that I think because of the bullshit we go through on a day-to-day by just being Black, there's this idea that we should be strong all the time. It's like, well, you deal with all this other shit. Why can't you deal with your sadness? Or why can't you deal with your depression? Like, you can take on all these other things. You should be able to power through this. But we are people, just like white people, just like whoever else. We're still people. We get tired. We need mental health breaks. We need to rest. We need all that. Like, just because that's been the way our community has been viewed, like, you're tough, you're a hard worker, push through for the longest, doesn't mean that that's healthy.
Yeah.
Stop
I agree.
doing that shit. Like, that is something that we pass on each generation, and we have to stop doing that. We're allowed to rest.
Yeah.
We're allowed to say, like, maybe I am like, we are allowed all of that shit.
Yeah.
Just as much as anybody else, we're allowed to have that too. But I feel like a lot of times within the Black community, it seems as though we're not allowed to have that. Like the expectation is to be tough 24/7, and no one is tough 24/7. And if you try to act like it, at some point, it's gonna catch up to you, and you're gonna have a breakdown.
You know what I realized? I learned to be tough, but guess how I learned to be tough? I learned how to be tough against Black people. Like I learned how to stand up to them and say, you know what? Fuck what you're saying. I'm gonna do me.
Yes.
That's
and you have to.
Yes. I learned, listen, oh, what you doing? I'm taking my medicine. Give me a second. Oh, you really gonna take that stuff? You could get addicted to it. Well, you take all kinds of stuff and you are addicted to a lot of things. And this is the thing, but this is the thing too. Black folk don't realize, even with our communities being placed into ghettos, we're dealing with the trauma of ancestry right now. Every single person. Yes, there are many of us that climb out of that by 4 ways: education, entertainment, athletics, or the military, because those are the only 4 ways out of the hood for us. So yes, you may climb up, this is that and the other, but what you're saying is absolutely right, because I was doing the same thing. You power through, you make a strong ending, and then I even, like my therapist told me, don't do this. What I do is I'm strong. I'll walk through, I'll go through the fire, and then when I get out of it, I collapse.
Right. Because you're so beat down, you're so fucking tired.
And so many Blacks, so many Black people do it that way. Oh, they when something comes up and I got to deal with it, I just go through it and I deal with it. Yeah, but you're not thinking about the fact that when you come through it, your body, your soul, your mind has taken a toll, and you're gonna fall over.
Right. You're so beaten down by it. It's crazy. And what's even crazier is that we just don't acknowledge it. We just we don't. I think honestly, we're so used to dealing with that we don't look at it face on and be like, no, this isn't okay. Like this scenario isn't great. No, I don't need to be strong 24/7. I'm actually really tired right now.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people find weakness in vulnerability. But to me, being vulnerable is like the strongest thing that you can do. Like, I'm not gonna lie, to post those videos I post on Instagram it took some balls from me, because like I remember at first I was like, oh my God, like what are people gonna say about me? Like they're gonna think I'm all these different things. But I guess my desire to kind of dispel this myth outweighed what I thought people were gonna say about me.
Yeah.
Because honestly, they're gonna say negative things either way. So you might as well like just be open with it and try to foster these conversations.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about this. When I started telling my story on Instagram, I had 2 friends in particular. Both had tried to commit suicide and had to be hospitalized. And I had no fucking clue that even happened. It was almost a year after it had happened. And I'm very close with these people. And I remember being shocked. And I was like, why did you not tell me this? Like why didn't you call me? Like I would have tried to help or do something. But it's because we're so used to being strong. We just don't talk about it. And that's some bullshit.
It is some bullshit. It is some bullshit. And to be quite honest, they were probably afraid that you would have still spouted the same stuff to them. Oh, be strong, be tough. You can do it. You can make it through. Come on, let's pray. Let's go to church. Let's do this. Let's do that. No, no.
Right.
No.
I've said so many times. I actually posted a video this other day. I said that when someone comes to you, just let them talk. Just let them vent. Stop offering solutions. Well, you should do this, and that. Like, no, you are not a therapist. Unless you are, then sure. But if you are not a therapist and you're just a friend and I'm coming to talk, I feel comfortable enough to share this with you. Please just allow me to vent. Please just allow me to get it off my chest. Stop trying to fix me. That makes me so angry when I feel like people are trying to fix me. Just listen to me. You letting me vent about what's going on is probably one of the best things you can do. Because a lot of us, I know for me at least, like I wasn't as open about my depression and my anxiety. Shit, I'm still struggling to do it now, like to talk openly about it. You gotta let people do that. Stop trying to fix them, because it makes them feel like something is wrong with them. And nothing's wrong with you because you suffer with depression. We all have our struggles. Yep. Everybody, and that's the big thing, everybody has their struggles. It might not be depression, it might be, I don't know, drinking, it might be relationship with your family. Like we all have our things. Stop demonizing one over the other. We all have our shit. We need to be gentle with each other and allow each other to talk about their shit.
You know what I realized too? I've had 4 therapists. I've changed therapists 4 times in 14 years because they were like moving on or getting married and different things like that. 2 things I realized. My therapists don't talk more than I do. That's number one thing. When I go in there, but also when I started therapy, I didn't need to get to know my therapist. I didn't need to get to know whether I was going to be comfortable with her. I had one stipulation. Please let my therapist be a female because I deal with men as a gay man and I just don't want to deal with them. And she, like literally every therapist that I had said that about me. You didn't make me have to try to get to know you and you get to know me, because my attitude was this: I'm not here to get to know you. I'm here to get to know me.
Exactly. Amen. Prayer hands. Praise hands. Okay. That's so true.
They would always say that there was no awkward pause. There was no awkward, 3 weeks and now you open up to me. I literally be like, have you read my chart? Yes. Where did I leave off? This is where you left off. And I pick up right there.
Right.
It wasn't about them.
Right.
It's and not
that's
about
how it should be.
Yes. It's not.
You're there to try and work on yourself. Not
and
be
then literally they say, like, when I would talk, and they'll say, oh, well, this is that, or this is that. And what I love about therapy is they give names to feelings that we did not have the correct names and jargon for or to.
Yes. That's why I tell people all the time to go to a therapist, because what we're doing as like regular, like, non-educated people in that field is that we're trying to fix and diagnose ourselves. The therapist I was working with when I was in New York City, his name was Randy, and Randy would give me like these, he would not diagnose it, but he would give it names. Yeah. And it would make me be like, oh shit.
Yep.
That's true. Like, would have never thought about any of that on my own if I hadn't gone to therapy. Yep. There were things that I was still hurting from when I was like 5 years old. I had no clue at this present day that that's what it was. I was like, no, I'm just like this because of X, Y, and Z. Talking to my therapist made me realize, no, honey, you still mad about some shit that happened 15 years ago. Yep. You need to address that, tackle it, and try your best to move on. Yep. But I think a lot of us get in this space of like, we either don't know what the issue is, or we're so used to lying to ourselves about it that we're like, oh no, that's not actually what it is, that you keep going on through life. You could be free and break those chains off of your mental and move on and be a better friend and brother, sister, partner, father, all of that shit. But because we don't go to a therapist and talk to them, we keep repeating the same cycles.
You know what?
The shit that my grandfather did, I do, my son does.
You took it right out of my mouth. What I was getting ready to say is what people don't understand is that we can all be triggered. It's not just the people that have manic depression. So what they need to understand about triggers is it's what you taste, see, smell, hear, and touch. It's behavioral. It's the 5 senses. So by default, you are literally having issues in your life now. Look at this. The alcoholic, he's not drinking because of what's going on now.
Right.
He's drinking to mask what happened as a child.
But they don't know that, you know? It's crazy because it's like you don't realize that.
It's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's the older thing.
It's the old shit. You think you're drinking because you had a bad day at work or something. No, it's just like, because I've seen people that overindulge and I want so badly to be like, you are doing that. Not because you're hurting and you're trying to mask some pain. I know, like, shit, I told you, like, I used to do drugs heavily.
Yes.
And that was why I wanted to escape from the stuff that was making me sad, bringing me down, but like not getting to the core of it.
You know what's sad? But you know what's sad too, and I had to stop you there? You were also in an industry where it was okay.
It was very prevalent,
yes. Yes. I saw it too. Listen, I stopped you right there because I wanted you to acknowledge that, because you're in an industry. First of all, like you said, there ain't a lot of Black folk in there. You know, the reasons why we do drugs and the reasons why white folk do drugs Two different reasons.
Two different, yes.
Two different reasons.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding? My mother did drugs for 25 years of my life. Mm-hmm. You can't get me to do anything. That's why it took me so long just to even take my medication. Because I was like, I don't want to remind myself of this woman. And then I realized I'm not taking them for her. I'm taking them for me.
Right. Exactly.
But I remember being in Paris and we were going around, they called the shows, this, défilés. So we were going from one défilé to the next. And an editor of a very prominent magazine, I'm not going to say nothing. It was French. I ain't going to say nothing. No names. But she got on this like bus because they had the buses that will shuffle you around from one fashion event to the next in Paris. She gets on the bus. She had on the couture outfit she had on the day before. Nose white as snow. And I'm talking about on an Asian woman. She looks at me and says, now mind you, I'm one of this. They had seen me. I'm tall, I'm skinny, I had all the right things. Then they're like, oh, and you can wear the women's clothing. Like, it was a head trip over there, but anyway. She looks at me and says, where did you go last night, darling? I said, I went home when the sun went down. She said, no. We party all night. And then we get up and go to the shows the next day. Mm-hmm. And I looked at her, I said, ma'am, with all due respect, the partying that you're doing, I didn't come here to do.
Oh, Lord.
Fucking yes. And get it. She pulls out her mirror. She pulls out her compact and is like, oh shit, yes, your party is still on your face, sweetheart.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Yes, it is an indulgent industry.
Yeah. And it's like, and my thing is, and this is why I brought it up. Because Black folk, we get into the industry and we start indulging too, and we don't realize we got all these traumas from childhood.
Right.
So then our indulgence becomes masking. We try, because all that shit, because once you do a drug, all that shit that you've been thinking about saying, all that stuff comes to the forefront anyway.
Oh, yes, it does.
It's like a conduit. It's like a gateway. All that shit, all that pain, all that stuff. That's why people, don't drink, because when you drink, you get mad. Well, what you get mad about? It comes to the forefront with us. It's not just recreation with us.
Right.
So it brings up all that shit we've been trying to hide. So like Black folk need to do better with, like you said, allowing each other to not be okay. We all
100%.
100%. We all need to, because to tell you the truth, we ain't been okay for a long time. We ain't been okay. Since our ancestors brought us to this country. Our ancestors were brought to this country in chains. We ain't been okay.
I know, we gotta allow ourselves to
and then they don't think that all that hurt and pain and trauma is not being passed through the blood,
right?
Through the memory, we got a lot to deal with, which is why I would never do a drug. They could never say, oh, the Queen of Shade was caught with this, that, and the other. No, honey, my mother did drugs for 25 years of my life, ruined my life. And you think I'm going to pick up where she left off? It's sad. Get this. I'm going to say this, and I don't even care. I have four siblings, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And it used to baffle me that my sisters, because we all got mental illness in some way, shape, or form. It was hereditary. So and I'm in therapy. I don't know about the others. Because get this, I'm estranged from them. My own siblings, we all 2 years apart, 2, 4, and 6 years apart. And we don't even talk to each other because of our childhoods, growing up in that house and trying to put distance between what they saw, what I saw. We don't talk. And then this whole, you're a public figure thing and your notoriety. I didn't want them in the public eye with me because I knew they had shit that they had to deal with and they didn't have 14 years of therapy. So I didn't want to throw them out there and then to the wolves and then they start losing their shit on national television, So, but I said all that to say this, like, I go to therapy. I watched my sisters, both, never do a drug, but be so stressed out, so bogged down with what happened to them that they look like drug addicts. They moved like drug addicts.
Oh my God.
Yes, they looked and they moved like drug addicts. They moved and looked like my mother. And I would get so upset to where I distanced myself because I said, how can it be that you don't even do drugs and you look like an addict? You behave like an addict. You raise your children like an addict.
Right. It's passed on, what your mom did to your sibling. And when you don't acknowledge it, it just festers.
Yeah. That to this day still makes me upset because I'm like, we got out of that. Why are you looking like you're her?
Right.
She ain't never done nothing for us our whole life except give us life. And you looking like her. I look at you and I see the trauma that I had to deal with when I was younger. And I'm like, how is this possible? Because you're a whole different person.
Right.
You're not even on drugs and you living like that.
Right.
I remember one time my baby sister had to be taken out of the house. My uncle went to go get my baby sister. She up there in this house with another trick, because she was tricking, another trick and two men. My uncle had to go rescue my sister out this house. And he pulls her out of there and he looks at her and he's like, you're skin and bones. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? You wasn't raised like this. And even with me stepping away from Christianity, we still was raised better than that.
Right.
And he looking at her like, you look like an addict. Get this. When I would have my manic episodes, and my uncle was always the one that would come and take me to the hospital. He was always the one, no matter where I was. He would say, like, he would wonder, are you on drugs? He would ask the cops. He would ask the intake workers, is he on drugs? Why is he behaving like his mother?
Right.
And then they would do, they check your veins and pull, and they told him, sir, there's nothing in his body coming out of these veins but water, water and blood. Nothing's in his body. And I remember one time I was flipping out on the table. I was flipping out because I had this thing where I could keep it together long enough to get to a hospital, and I would flip my shit. As soon as I got into the door, I would break down, flip my shit. That like I would go, like literally, they would have to grab me and rush me into treatment because I would literally just come undone in the hospital vestibule. That's how it was for me. Yeah. So like he's asking them like, and she said, sir, is he bipolar? And he said, yeah, he's been bipolar. He was diagnosed at 19, the stressors, in college. And she looked at him and I could hear all of this, even though I'm going through what I'm going through, I could hear all this. And she said, sir, they just go like that. It's the trauma of what they lived before. They just go like that. He doesn't have to be on drugs. My psychiatrist said to me the first time I met her, because that wasn't the first appointment. The first appointment was intake. Second appointment, I knew my grandmother was taking me. She said two things to me. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here because you're alive. And I'm glad to see that you're alive because most people don't make it with as much trauma as you are suffering from. And then she said, and it's commendable that even through all of your trauma, you don't have HIV.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I had a crazy summer. I tell everybody about it. I was manic as hell. I slept with 85 men. In one summer. A summer is 90 days. 85 days, I was sleeping with some kind of man.
No, and that's how it is.
Yep.
I have my phase too.
People don't understand. And that's the thing. They look at you, oh, you're this, you're that. No, baby, I was dealing with something.
Right.
I've been celibate now 9 years, but get this. I still am very sexual. I just haven't found what I'm looking for to break it now. There's nothing worth like I'm on a whole other level now. I can't. But I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed my summer. I wore condoms. I did all of that. I made sure I was okay. But still, the drive, there was something on my back. Like, and that's what people don't understand. There's something riding you like you're the motherfucking horse. Like you're the stallion and you're bucking and everything. And it's riding you.
Right.
You gotta, and that's why you hear some people say, oh, he got that monkey off his back. Church people, oh, he got that demon off his back. I'm like, listen here, it wasn't no demon. It was trauma. It was trauma.
Yeah.
It was trauma. So I want to ask you very quickly, are you partnering with any nonprofits in DC that deal with mental health? Have you done that?
So that's what I'm in the process of trying to do now. So actually, I posted the other day because I'm trying to find free therapists and free mental health resources, because a lot of what was happening is that people would reach out to me, and my first thing I always suggest is like, are you seeing a therapist?
Right.
And people started asking me like, well, do you have any recommendations? And I didn't. So like, okay, I need to start working on that. So if nothing else, when people ask me, I can at least point them in a direction. So what I'm trying to do right now is compile as much information on free therapists, because that's a very important, because not everybody can afford therapy,
right,
but everyone deserves to go to therapy.
Right.
So I'm trying to find as many free resources as possible, and I want to like compile it into a Rolodex and be able to pass it out to people that are looking for help.
You know what it sounds like though? It sounds like you're about to start a nonprofit.
It does sound like that. You know, I'm in a phase right now where I'm trying to figure out a lot of what I'm even doing with this. Like, I want to be vocal and I want to turn it into something more, but I don't know what that more is just yet. But I feel like the universe is kind of pushing me.
Yeah, trust the process. Trust the process, because I can actually see you. You've got enough experience, even with what you've said to me, you've got enough experience to get up in front of a room and give a talk. Oh, yes, you do. You've got enough experience with your friend, the demise of your friend, substance abuse, getting yourself together, seeing therapy, the Black diaspora, when all that happens there. You've got enough information to literally get up and talk.
Thank you. And that would be the goal, because I just want people to talk about it. That's all I would want. I'm not here to fix you or offer you no solutions. I just want people to feel comfortable enough to talk about it and stop hiding in the shadows.
You know what I realized about my life, and it was the hardest thing I ever realized, that I would always be broken. But you know what I realized at that point of realizing that I was always going to be broken? Every single fucking piece belongs to me.
Amen. Yes.
Mine. So like my therapist used to tell me, so if you don't like me, that's fine. But I'm going to take all these broken pieces right here because they belong to me. And I'm going to put them in this blue bucket and I'm going on my way.
Right. Exactly.
They're mine. Every piece is mine. You don't get not one. They're mine. Okay. If you had 3 words that you use, or even as a phrase or a sentence that you would want to say to someone listening, watching, to empower them, what would those 3 words be? Even one person said fight, fight, fight. You know, so what would those words be, or what would the phrase be to empower someone watching this who is on the brink of knowing that they need help with their mental health?
I would say probably one that rings the most true to me is to be gentle with yourself. Like, stop expecting yourself to be perfect or strong or all of these things 24/7. It is okay to be gentle with yourself and be like, I am struggling right now. Today is a hard day and I don't feel like being strong. Like, I tell people that all the time on Instagram. Like, I'm not that person that gets up every day like, yeah, let's do it. I have plenty of days where I'm like, I don't want to get out of this bed. I don't want to do anything. I have no motivation. I'm just down. I don't want to do anything. That's normal. And that's okay. It's what's not normal is for you to think that I'm strong 24/7 and nothing bothers me. Nothing like
or that you need to push me.
Yes. It is okay to take a break. Please be gentle with yourself and gentle with others, because that's a big part of it too. Be gentle with yourself and be gentle with others. You never know what someone is going through. So just be gentle with yourself.
All right. I'm going to put it all in the description section, but tell us where we can find you on social media.
I am at Jared with 2 R's, JARRED.Denzel like Washington, on Instagram and on Facebook. Look for me there. Please engage with me. Like, I want people to talk to me about like what they're facing or topics they'd like to hear me talk about. And if you have resources for free mental health or therapists, please let me know. I really want to put a Rolodex before.
I don't know if she's free, but I actually had a therapist. She does a lot of like work. So I've seen her do nonprofit work as well. Her name is Issa. So I'm gonna send you Issa's information. Because she actually did an interview with me during 2020, and we went through every step of the mental illness for me and my childhood. It was a very in-depth look at that, and I would love to put you in touch with her because she just phenomenal. She was phenomenal. So, all right, we're gonna end this. It was great. It was what it needed to be. What needed to be said was said, and I just want to say thank you for being brave enough to get up in front of the Black community and say, you motherfuckers need to go to therapy because y'all crazy.
Right, yes. You motherfuckers need to go. That's going to be my tagline on Instagram. You
right,
motherfuckers,
you motherfuckers need to go to therapy. That's your tagline. Yes. Motherfucker. That is. That's so good. I'm glad that we just said that. Yes, that's what it needs to be. That's what it needs to be.
I thank you for having me on here and also being brave enough to have these conversations too, because a lot of people shy away from it. So I appreciate it.
Listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But yeah, say goodbye to the people.
All right. Goodbye, people.
Don't go away.